This is episode 228 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dio Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel. I'm on my X-Wing is still X-Wing soapbox, Manzano.
I am so fed up with people saying, like, in the new world, in the new X-Wing, in the new this, in the new that. It's still the same X-Wing. It's still the same everything. It's just like one rule change. Get over it.
It's X-Wing. Always has been. All right. All remaining systems will bow to the First Order and will remember this as the last day of your tokens. Hey,
Oh, we got him. Yeah, jam sweet for life. Look out.
Oh, the throat. I'll try. And Ryan, mixed feelings. Staniszewski.
Oh, it's new points, new horizons. Some of my generics got hurt, but there's no new hyperspace. What do? Mixed feelings all around.
All right. So for those of you who are joining us, listening either on your favorite podcast app of choice or later on YouTube, or maybe you're watching live on Twitch, today our episode is brought to you by our GSP patrons. If you want to become a patron and become a part of the largest group of supporters here at GSP, go to patreon.com/Gold Squadron. You have 3 days left to get your hands on the Shadow Squadron cards that we made for our patrons. 3 days left. They're absolutely awesome. You can check them out on our Patreon page and see some pictures. And super excited to get those in the hands of our patrons. Also, we have this upcoming weekend, the Hoth Galactic Championship Qualifier. It is a hyperspace event. The new points are legal. Bids do not matter. And we are randomizing first player order. All right, we're going full progressive with the tournament rules here at GSP, and we'll continue to do so as we get that information. Today, we are looking at the 2 sequel factions that got new stuff, and of course the other changes on how they are going to end up affecting the future meta. Super excited to break these down. I haven't decided which one goes first. We'll go ahead and flip a coin. Gonna flip a coin.
I mean, you already got Resistance pulled up.
Resistance. So. All right, so Will, you're gonna go ahead and take the lead on this. Let's talk some Resistance.
All right. Yeah, I'll need some help. Or actually, rephrase that. I want to hear your guys' opinions on the new Y-Wings as well. But let's jump right into it. With the new Y-Wings, we got the I-5 Zori Bliss at 40. Taz, which I believe is the I-4. Taz is the I-4 who gives a reroll effect to friendlies. And then that's at 37. Wilsa is the other I-4 who applies string. And then Sasha and Lega. Yeah, about as bad as Marcel on these. Sasha and Lega are the I-3s who have fun things with calculating. Let's see. Akbar. Now, Akbar is the one I did want to talk about. I'm just doing a general thing. I'm gonna go back over these in a second, but oh my God, Akbar is an interesting one I wanted to touch on for a moment. Because it is an I-2, but is one of the more expensive ones. The ability reads, after you execute a red basic maneuver, so it's going to be 4 forward or hard 3 on this platform, or perform a red action, which could be target lock, barrel roll, boost, or even a red evade action if you got debris gambit. If you have exactly 1 stress token, you may gain 1 strain token to remove that stress. So this is what I wanted to bounce to you guys about this one, because I think it is potentially very powerful because of the upgrade pattern analyzer. Let me get out of hyperspace. sorry, in my list building here. So pattern analyzer combines with that great. So you do the hard 3 or the 4 forward, and you can take the pattern analyzer action, and then you take a strain and can do your regular action step. What does that, and even if you say you have engine upgrade on this guy, you could 4 forward focus, or 4 forward focus because it's naturally white, and then you could take this strain and boost with an engine upgrade. What do you guys think about that?
It's a lot of actions for sure. Low initiative, so it's not too bad, but I think it is costed higher for the reason of you have pattern analyzer on it and you have the intuitive interface. There's an easy chance for 3 actions on the single ship at the cost of 1 strain and not even a stress.
Yeah, which means nothing because you have 1 agility anyway, so who cares?
Yeah, like I'm a Y-wing. I'll take damage, whatever.
Yeah, right.
Does it want the wartime loadout, or does it not?
See, that's the biggest question of all, Marcel.
Yeah,
You get up close. You get up. No, but it's
if you want to shoot a
the
missile.
ability. Yeah, the ability is more like K-turn. Like it's.
Well, K-turn doesn't work with it. It has to be a red basic maneuver. So it needs to be, and K-turn's not a basic.
Okay.
That was one of the first words that deterred me from looking at this and immediately start putting it in every list possible, because a 5K with pattern analyzer and not getting stressed seemed pretty good.
Yeah, right, exactly. So this is, like I said, I mean, all of these Y-wings have abilities that either give rerolls, get free calculates, pass a calculate to somebody. So they are like very modifier intensive, which is good to see on an attack platform of only 1 agility. So we'll be interested. And Marcel, you brought up the best question of all, which is wartime or no wartime. Because you do lose that intuitive interface, which is their base chassis ability. After you perform an action, add to your action bar by a talent, illicit, or I was going to say engine upgrade, modification, you get to perform a calculate action. So primarily looking at targeting computer for white locks into calculates, engine upgrade for white boost into calculates. You obviously have expert handling, so you can get a white barrel roll. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there is no illicits that are actions added to your action bar.
Nope.
Okay,
No.
So that's future proofing for right now. But I think I covered all of those, except for debris gambit. If you are next to an obstacle, you can do a white evade action.
Wait, illicit?
Yes.
Yeah,
You're going to say cloaking device, but I'm going to say that's not on your action bar.
It doesn't give you. It allows you to do a cloaking action with specific restrictions on the card, but it doesn't actually give you an action bar added on with the cloaking icon.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It is the one we are thinking would work for a long time, but it does not. All right. So let me run through the rest of these pilots here. I went through. I want to mention the other I2, which is a pilot we've seen recently released in the T-70, Kai. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm not hearing a lot of disagreement from Kai.
Kai Theranali. I'll go with that. That's
Sure. And this has the ability to, after you fully execute a maneuver, if you move through a friendly ship, you may perform an evade action. So not really like a lot of synergy there, but evade is always good. So those are the more pricier ones. The lesser two, or excuse me, I think the only one I didn't cover then was Chorus Kalin, which allows you to, before you engage, you can basically steal a token from somebody, but it's only I1. Very powerful if you have like swarm tactics or something, or if you just want to steal calculate from a buddy. Very good. Interesting that that's the only I1 in this chassis. As a note, only importance document says it because it didn't change in the tracking, but there is a big difference between whether you're the blue or the red Y-wing. between whether you have an illicit or you have double modifications. So we see like Zori has illicit and mod, and so does, I believe, Chorus also has a single mod and an illicit, and then the Spice Runner as well. So those are all the ones with illicits, and then you have all of the rest of them just have double modifications instead. All right, so now I'm breaking them down for a second for those who haven't really been diving deep into them. Let's bring up Wartime Loadout, which starts at 4 points. I do want to talk about Wartime Loadout, because then we're going to get into the conversation of whether you bring Wartime Loadout or not. Or I want to hear your guys' opinions on it. So Wartime Loadout takes away that free calculate shenanigans, gives you Torpedo and Missile. It gives you white target lock, white reload, does take your modification slot in addition to the configuration, but instead of the free calculate stuff, you have now the ability to where the defenders in your bullseye cannot cancel your critical results. And the main thing, I don't know if I said it, because there's a lot of things going on with it, but it gives you 2 shields as well, going from 7 to 9, which I believe is the most health of a small base in the game right now.
Yep.
Pretty crazy. You could even boost that up to 10 because a lot of these have double mod slots. So obviously there's some synergy if you bring like marksmanship, if you want to rock proton torpedoes as well. It's another way to get some crits. Advanced proton torpedoes, pretty easy to get somebody range 1 in your bullseye. So I want to bounce this one to you guys. What are you thinking about? Are you trying to go for the extra actions with the calculate, or are you trying to bring the Wartime Loadout? Which do you think we'll see rise to the top?
I think the Wartime Loadout, because the other ones, in order to take advantage of the actions, you're throwing extra points on the upgrades as well, whether it's expert handling or engine upgrade or whatever it is. So you're already throwing extra points on there in order to do that, and you're doing it essentially to give yourself a double modded. So you're going through a lot to get a double modded either ion turret shot, or a double modded 2-die attack from your primary, because you don't have the torpedo, I believe, or you don't have the ordnance. So correct. It's a lot. Yeah, it's nice to have a double modded shot on a 1 agility ship that only has 7 hull, that is not shooting any ordnance, maybe just dropping a bomb. This gives you the 2 shields just by themselves again on 1 agility ship. If I'm not mistaken, it's 3 points each, maybe more, 5.
Yeah,
3.
they're 4 points for shield.
Okay, so that's 8 points on shields alone. And then on top of that, you get the white target lock, which is the targeting computer equivalent. You're getting the torpedo and the other slot. And then on top of that, if you want to get that ability from their native ability, you've got the Watchman droid or whatever it is. Basically, the one that if you change
the Watchful Astromech.
Thank you. So you can still get, guarantee that when you move your turret, you're getting your calculate through that upgrade. So again, it's more expensive because if you're doing this way, you're probably loading some type of ordnance on it. But how many of these have EPTs, elite pilot talents? Because
all of them except the KMG Spice Runner. Right? KMG Spice Runner doesn't have it. Chorus, the Palab Light, Shaza, and Wilsa.
Okay, so that's marksmanship on any of those. So you can throw some, just any. You don't have to worry about what type of or ordnance. You don't have to put an advanced proton torpedo or a proton torpedo on those, so you can get a cheaper missile on there, cheaper missile on there, and it'll still not be able to cancel the crits. So anyway, I just think it's way too much value in the Wartime Loadout for just 4 points.
Well, I gotta bounce it to you, Ryan. Where is the advantage of the intuitive controls?
Intuitive interface. I mean, it's allowing because most of the time, every Y-wing we've ever played with has gotten one action ever in its normal action step. This is the first type of ability that has allowed it to gain 2 without any outside additional ship synergies. So built-in chassis is realistically one of the better base chassis abilities in the game. Is giving you the chance for double mods, which is pretty rare as a chassis. Obviously, the problem that occurs is this is a 7 health only, 1 agility small base ship. So you don't have the normal Y-Wing 8. And obviously, as Marcel already mentioned, 4 points for just gaining 2 whole shields is dirt cheap. Like, that is a steal in overall HP value. I wasn't expecting Wartime Loadout to be that cheap, to be quite honest. And I think actually most of the prices for the base Y-Wings are a little more than I expected, especially the base generic at 31, because every other Y-Wing generic is either, I think, 29 or 30. And this has less health than all of the other ones, while, as I mentioned, having one of the best chassis abilities in the game, I think. So it's a balance. We'll have to see how it works. The problem is everything I've normally built out with these ships, they've come close to low-named T-70s like Bastion and Mimi. They're getting at like barely close to that just mid to low 40s, where it's like, well, if I spend like 2 or 3 more points, I have Bastion or Mimi. So maybe Wartime Loadout is the way to go, because you might only bring one of these Y-Wings and just make it as much of an alpha strikey ship as possible, likely being Zori Bliss. I think Zori's a prime candidate for Wartime Loadout because I-5 torpedo carrying seems like a pretty good strategy when you can double mod from your friends. So what likely shows up the most is probably Wartime Loadout, but not because it's in quantity, because it's in quality of what you're bringing. Even though intuitive interface on a mass level, if you have multiple of it, could have a better wide-ranging effect for your squad.
One of the issues that I have, though, is what is the function of the Y-Wing in list building for the Resistance? Like, what does it have? Okay, so it can carry torpedoes. We have an X-Wing that can do that. Or we have X-Wings can do that.
Poe's really good at that.
Right? Yeah, exactly. It has a turret, sure. I mean, the ion cannon is maybe that's it. Like, an ion cannon, if you want that in a list, is potentially where you end up getting some value. But other than that, like, I don't see the value. Like we said, Zori seems interesting because she's a standalone ship. Aftab Akbar potentially could be something as like a resistance salad. My biggest issue, though, is you pointed it out, Ryan, is when you start kitting these out for them to be optimized, they start hitting that price. You're like, well, why don't I just have an RZ2 A-Wing? Why don't I just have an X-Wing?
Yeah, especially when I'm trying to put together like Lega, Shaza, or Akbar, the named ones that for only 2 to 3 points over a generic is well worth that investment normally, because the abilities are so good that by the time I kit them out with, say, engine or expert handling or targeting computer plus a turret that has, at least dorsal. And I think I probably should have a bomb in there because it feels like I feel like I'm having some amount of utility for the ship to do something other than just shoot with double mods. Because there are quite a lot of T-70s that can shoot really easily with double mods, being Nimi and Bastion, that are already 47 base. So it's like, where are they actually providing additional help that isn't already there in the overall firepower and modification that the Resistance T-70s have? And I think, like you mentioned, maybe the ion control with ion cannon turret and the bombs for that auto damage might add that certain level of like hurting that the T-70s only can do with their front firing arc just being, don't be here because I have double mods.
And let's be real. I mean, they're in a faction where if they're getting up in that 40-point range, to your point, you're just going to take T-70 because it's way better. And
I mean,
if
or
they're-
A-wing at that
Especially
point,
when-
right?
That's what I was gonna say. If you're in the mid
Oh, yeah.
30s, if you're in the mid 30s range, then you're gonna take an A-wing. Merle with intimidation is way better than any of these.
Yeah.
Merle intimidation and automated targeting priority. And if you want to keep them base dirt cheap, like let's say Shaza at it's native points, you're better off taking Finn or Rose with C-3PO. There's better options for all of these. They're not bad ships, and it's not 9 hull is nothing to laugh at. It's just that
Well, in the cases what we're talking about, it's only 7 hull or 7 health, which is what
Seven
T70s
health,
already
so,
have
yeah.
with a whole other agility.
Yeah, so they're in a faction where they're just other things that are better than them, and even the transports are probably better than them as support ships. So if you want a support ship, the transports will probably do a better job than they are. So I think they're not dead on arrival, but they don't give you the best value for their points when you look at the options that are available in the 40s, in the 30s, or in the 20s.
Yeah, their identity is going to struggle where, like, people when they list build with these are really going to have to find a reason to bring these Y-Wings, which is kind of unfortunate. Like, it's a new ship, you want to just play it, which go ahead. This is Discovery stage. You might find that reason.
I mean, dude, Zori with whatever you want on her and Wartime, like, do it up. Like, I was rocking R4, Wartime, Ion, Turret, and Proton Torpedo, a 63-point Y-Wing that I laughed at. I was like, well, this is silly, but whatever. We'll figure it out. Until Zori's, like, boosting and barrel rolling before a dial, like, in reaction to people trying to move up and block her. Like, Zori will do just fine in, like, I-5 alpha strikes, things like that. I'm just concerned about non-wartime loadout ones, whether they have a place or not. I mean, I will say, after getting some table time with these things, the best thing about them is that boost. Oof, that really changes the ship. From flying, what do I say? Just really like any interceptor class ship, and then you move to like a B-wing or something, right? Where you're just like, oh man, I'm literally half the speed as the other ship. So these Y-Wings, I think that's the best thing about them. I mean, the health is great, but a lot of ships have a lot of health. But a small base boosting turret, I mean, that sounds like a hawk to me. So, and I like that.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about that. That's one thing we haven't mentioned is the value of that boost and the dial that's just better, and pilots like Akbar that can do even more over the top of that. So them getting around and keeping those turrets threatening is much more applicable.
Yeah, Akbar is surprisingly quick with a 4-4 boost. Pretty good. Pretty good. We'll see what the elicits have to do with as far as what the best elicit for them is. Obviously, there's a lot of competition right now between like contraband cybernetics for those big 5Ks. You got false transponder codes because you like target locking. And then the new overtune modulators where you can just get a bunch of calculates. With those extra calculate synergies, I could see something on there. I haven't thought about a cloaking device one. Just flying around bombing?
Maybe.
Dang. I didn't think about cloaking device on them either.
Yeah, who would? I don't know. I mean, that's, like I said, they're kind of up in the air right now. But I think
Marcel's not convinced.
No.
Nah, give me Count Zubio with that better. I mean,
Well, I mean, so
29 points.
So
like,
well, hold on,
yeah.
like you said, Akbar is strangely fast with that 4 straight. What if you want to set up Akbar behind enemy lines early? 2 straight decloak, 4 straight maneuver boost. I am behind you with an ion cannon turret now, sir.
Let me caveat that only Corvius, the I-1 who steals stuff, the Spice Winner
right.
generic,
Akbar
and
doesn't
Zari Bliss. I mean, but Zari Bliss decloaking into range 1 of you to get a red focus token to hard 2 and behind you to take a lock.
Yeah.
Look out.
Zori Bliss does not have to be friendly ship to perform that action. It could be from an enemy.
Nope. But Dion, you got any final thoughts on the Y-Wings
Yeah,
we
well,
move on?
one of the things we actually were talking about in the pre-show, and Tommy Adams actually brought it up in the chat as well, is one of the things directly connected to this Y-wing is the fact that the cost of engine upgrade did go up from 2 to 3. Right? So
That's true.
that limits some of the spammability with boosting turrets that you can have in the Resistance. Because if it was still at 2 points, I think we end up having, what would it end up being? Could you fit ion cannons in there? 5?
No, I mean you could fit 5 right now with ion cannon engine upgrade easily. You can even take the New Republics, the I3s, if you would want. You can take 5 of them right now. Is that a spam list that I particularly want to fight against? No, but I'm glad it's only 4, not 5 Y-wings. Or excuse me, I'm glad it's 5. And not
5, not 6.
6.
And you get no bombs on them. That's just
Yeah, no bombs. And it's only 5, and you'll probably lose one of them in like maybe not the first engagement, but pretty close to it. I mean, I think to me, white engine upgrade, or you know what I'm trying to say, white boost is the only reason I'm taking the intuitive interface to still get a calculate Y boost. Other than that, I'm not really sure. I don't know if it has that much value, but we'll find out. I'm sure someone's got a secret sauce plan with their lists, some sort of crazy salad combination.
I'll be on the hunt for Hoth. Like I wanna see.
You bring in some weird Y-wings. We're gonna put you on.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Listen, you know what? I am willing. If I'll put a limit on it. If somebody can like win 4 games or more with any Y-wing not named Zori or Akbar, I will refund you your ticket. Okay.
Ooh,
There's a challenge there. Like, because I'm just not convinced. I'm like, there's nothing there. There's nothing there.
Not even the I-1 chorus that's kind of Paylob or Lega that's got that re-rolls with friendly ships with calculates in front of them.
It becomes like a Rune Goldberg machine, though. You're spending points to do the thing, to get the thing to work.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do think, though, as a note, maybe this is a tip for somebody. 4 of them and a targeting synchronizer pod could be pretty interesting with that wartime loadout, being able to shoot some munitions early. But we'll see. We'll see.
Just to caveat myself, I'll limit that to like 3 people, just in case. So the whole tournament doesn't show up with these Y-wings.
It's like someone has to get this right.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. We'll see.
So it would be the
Don't
3
throw down.
highest placing Y-wings? Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, not named Zori.
Not named Zori, Akbar. Yeah, I'll put those 2.
Yeah, those are probably the clear winners. There's a reason why. I'll say this much: when you are low initiative and you're priced higher than higher initiatives, there's probably a reason, and that is you're good. But let's before we warp the Hoth meta too much here, let's keep it rolling here, and we'll finish up there. I mean, that was the big topic, right? Though,
yeah,
the new Y-wings. So we'll see what changes are made to the rest of the Resistance in response. So let's move right on to the Fireball, which is down 1 point for Kaz, Jerk, and R1J5 Bucket, because I never remember his real name. Those all go down 1, and in addition to that, as a note, the Kaz's Fireball went down 1 point as well. So essentially get free title now, which I think is cool. Like, if you're flying these named ones, you're probably not flying them in a swarm of other Fireballs. So it is very cool to see that named, like Kaz's Fireball flown by Kaz. So I think that's really it for them. I mean, a small decrease. I think Kaz is still good. I think we'll we should see more CAS, but we just don't for some reason. It's that same high 30s point cost that we just talked about for the Y-Wings.
Yep.
But like you got A-Wings, you got generic T-70s all slotted in about that same price. So anyways, moving on. The Colossus station mechanic stays at 26 points. Technically, it probably went up because we most of the time saw them with tracer missiles.
Mm-hmm.
So no change needed for them. So let's move on to the Star Fortresses in G100 Star Fortress. These are already, we need a good name for it, but compressed between like their lowest possible cost and their highest initiative cost, right? Like what quad jumpers are essentially. But we have the Cobalt remains at 51 points, so you can't run 4 of these guys. But Cat goes down, so does Vinny. Ben Teen, which is the one that gives you the rattled condition, stays the same price.
Can I say that I'm like, what? Why? Who has ever seen Ben Teen out there rattling people to be like, no, you don't get a reduction. You just out there rattling. No.
Is he I4? Is he I4? Is that why? Is he? Let me double check. I think he's just I3 though. Yeah, he's just I3. I don't know. Maybe it was something like thermals. Like thermals and seismics still work on him. They don't need to. You just have to be near the bomb when it explodes to be rattled. But I agree with you, DM. Let the rattler out to play. And then we see, I mean, just that kind of compression as well with Paige, Finch, and Edon all going down to 55 points. I think Paige is the clear winner there. Her I5 with her talent slot is very cool. She can bring heroic or swarm tactics. But yeah, I mean, there's a 4-point difference between Paige and a Cobalt. So they really, really want you to fly one of these named pilots. And I think that's the consensus I think we've overall seen, that generics have a bottom, whereas, or a floor, I would say, but all of the ceiling is going down for all other ships, or excuse me, all other named pilots of that chassis. Will we see them? I don't know.
I don't get why they're so. I mean, I know they're bad, and I know that
they are not bad.
But that's no. I mean, they're bad in relation. Like nobody flies them, and when they do, maybe only any ever makes it anywhere.
Sure.
But like, I'm trying to think why. I mean, they're 12 health with 1 agility. So they
270-degree arc as well.
They have the biggest arc in the game. Period. They've got 3 native attack dice out of the front, 2 dice out of both sides, and then they probably have a bomb coming out of the back. So they're really the only ships that are protected 360. And again, they can hit hard. You can throw a veteran turret gunner on there. It's not too expensive on it anymore. Veteran turret gunner went down. I mean, why are they like? What's wrong with them?
I think because they feel bad because they're so unmaneuverable and they only have the 1 agility. And if you are only shooting the side arc, you're only shooting 2 attack dice. So like all that qualifies or combines into a ship that's just a liability unless you're trajectory launching bombs, which I feel like a lot of people just don't want to do. It's like not that it's bad, but it's like it feels bad. Just be
even
launching.
with the trajectory launching bombs, it still makes your front arc essentially the only really dangerous spot on the ship. And as you add more things because none of these pilots have any way to really modify their attack dice. It's just bomb effect stuff, and I think one that adds a dice if there's a bomb still there, so still bomb related. So because of that, these platforms that are pretty expensive once you add all that stuff onto have a hard time getting back their cost and trading with something of equal value. In what this ship only really ends up doing is trading like space denial wise, both with your large base and the bombs that affect the area. So you have to be really good at maximizing that potential, because just on sheer firepower alone, you're rarely ever going to get your points back that you spend on this ship.
Yeah,
You need
it
to
suffers.
find a way to use it to herd other things and make the rest of your squad more effective in doing their damage.
This ship suffers from look at all these slots syndrome. Look at all these slots. Look, I just gotta fill them. All right, and then all of a sudden you're stuck with a 100-point Star Fortress, and then you're like, all right, now do the rest of the list.
I own 2 of these things. I've only ever flown one time ever, and I own 3.
I mean, I don't know. I think if you put like Finch with like thermals, I know thermals went up, but like they're really not that bad. They're just a liability out there. Like they're not the star of the show. I don't know. Have you seen The Last Jedi? Because that's what happens almost all the time.
Unless you're Vinny. Vinny's the only one I've ever seen go like, you see it on the table, you're like, all right, I gotta watch out because it's really defensive, but I'll just kill everything else and leave that for last.
I mean, maybe like a Vinny combined with some Ion Y-Wings, because Vinny likes other people's turret arcs.
Yeah,
we
you're
could
right.
start to see some things, some combinations there. I mean, maybe that's why Benteen, is that his name? I already forgot. I just call him the Rattler. Benteen. Maybe that's why his price didn't go down. Is because now the Resistance have more bomb options with the new Y-Wings coming in. So maybe there's some synergy there. Who knows? Well, we could find out maybe at Hoth. Oh wait, no, Hoth is cyberspace. Rip. Get out of here.
At
Fortresses. What? Oh yeah,
At Scarif.
exactly. All right, well, let's keep it rolling though. Because there's another big change in the next chassis, which is the Resistance Transport. Obviously, Kova stay the same price. Nodin, who was the extra actions while coordinating, go up to. Pam Mitch goes up 1 point. That's like, what, you take actions while doing red maneuvers or something like that. What's the ability say to him?
While you have 2 or fewer stress tokens, you may execute red maneuvers even while stressed.
Cool. You really like stopping and backing up. Go for it. Then we see the logistics pilot go up to cost to 34 points. And now everybody who doesn't know the spoiler is like, why are these things going up? I've never even seen these played. And it's because they recently received a second cannon slot, which allows them now to take the synced laser cannon. Synced laser cannon is a 3-dice gun, range 2 to 3. And if you're calculating that the defender does not apply the range bonus. Because they get a crew slot, they can get calculates between, it's at PZ4C0, which is normally a support ship where you can give your calculate or focus token off to another ship, but it does give you the calculate action. But most likely you're going to combine it with C3PO, who can give you either 2 calculates, or while coordinating, you also get a calculate. So we've seen a lot of C3PO Nodins around. So you get a lot of actions there. You can coordinate, calculate, and target lock all in one action. Pretty powerful now that they get that native 3-dice attack through the synced laser. And the comparison between synced laser and plasma torpedo is astounding to me. Plasma torpedo, only 2 charges, requires the lock, and it still has that same 3-dice range 2 to 3. I mean, this seems like a dumb question, but would you guys ever take plasma over synced laser now?
Well, I mean, honestly, that can't take the laser, and it also, I mean, it is that additional shield is, I mean, that
big deal.
Turns it into a 4-die, I mean, a potential 4 damage attack. Now, my question, I know.
Hold on, wait, am I not on a lower initiative ship? That's the
problem. Is the Pad Mitch is doing too many red maneuvers to ever take target locks.
Yeah, the lock action is obviously what restricts ships on the plasma torp, but obviously also the plasma torp has the doesn't give range bonus. Obviously the sync laser cannon has a way to not do the same thing, but it's more conditional in that regard.
So
No,
I
the safer bet, if you can take either one, is going to be synced laser cannon. But the higher potential output, I think, still is plasma torpedo.
yeah, what I was gonna say is I know what they bumped these up, the bottom ones, to 34 and the sync laser cannons to 7, so they're at 41. So they're basically comparable to a B-wing at 41. And essentially, what they're
It's a great
trying to do is
comparison.
prevent you to do, because they're both 8 health and 3 attack die guns and 1 agility. I mean, very similar, and they're essentially trying to prevent you from putting 5 of these on the board. Is kind of what they're toying with. What I don't get is why are they still toying that line of no, we can't put 5 of these on the board when you can already put 5 X-wings on the board or 5 K-fighters on the board, which are 5 ships that can roll 3 attack dice. And yeah, they have 6 health, but those 6 health with an additional agility probably end up playing out better than the 8 health with 1 agility. And they're more maneuverable. They've got the Talon rolls and the long K turns. So I would take 5. You can take 5 Initiative 3 X-Wings, and you can't take 5 Initiative 2 B-Wings or Initiative 2 of these Resistance transports. So I don't get like what the
Don't worry, Marcel. Neither do I.
that.
The questions of a generic swarm player, you are asking one of them right now for me. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate your concern for our well-being.
I'm just saying I don't see why a B-Wing needs to be 41 when an X-Wing is 38.
JD really, I think, nailed it here. The B-Wing comparison, I think, is spot on, except for the range 1 4 dice attack, obviously. And these logistics have a natural coordinate action. So you could really get some fun shenanigans going on. But they don't barrel roll, though, so I don't know. We'll see.
Don't barrel roll, but have reverses and 0 stops. It's
I mean, I'll say this much. I think we can all agree that sync to laser might actually get these guys back into play. Except for Noden.
I saw sync laser cannon and I was like, logistics division pilot? Maybe? Because it's one of those, like, if you have other things in the list that are more, I'm going to say, distracting, and you just got your little logistics division going 3 dice, pew, 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 3 dice, pew, 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 pew. All of a sudden, if you got other things that are threatening, that might be value.
I mean, I'm totally in on Noden you should probably throw the R4 astromech in there. 51-point Noden, who can shoot 3 dice every round, either has 2 calculates, either has 3 calculates, or target lock calculate and is coordinating every round. Oof. All right, now you might need Corsella too. I don't know. You might need Corsella actually, in addition to that, but
yeah, Corsella, Sync Laser, C3PO, and R4, 57-point Noden Josh.
I mean, that's like, I mean, you're hitting harder than most people and you're coordinating at the same time. So
it does become a coordinator that has an effective gun. Yes.
Yeah. So maybe we'll see. I don't know. I mean, this also might be a dumb question. Is there any reason to bring a jamming beam and a tractor on these guys? Is double cannon just for sync to laser?
I think it's just for sync.
Or whatever other future cannon might be double cannon.
Yeah, I'm in on more double cannon slots. All right, well, it's definitely the strangest ship, I think. Paying 2 extra points or so for that double cannon. And as a note, Kova doesn't change because Kova doesn't even need the cannon. Kova just does red move. Doesn't really care. So, but speaking of transports, the transport pod is next up here. 2 big changes to this pilots for the ship. We see Finn going up by 2. And let's actually, we haven't really talked about this, but if you can, Dion, show me the price of Heroic.
Heroic went up.
Yes. Well, yes and no. that originally was 1 cost, and then they priced it at 2 points for 3 agility ships, and then now they're just like, you know what, 2 points for everybody. So whereas Finn had been only paying 1 point, as a note, always put heroic on Finn. It's kind of his thing when he adds a blank die. So he really went up 3 points as a note to a 34-point platform. Still very viable for what he does. If you ignore him, he hits really hard. If he needs to eat 1 attack, he does so very well. So, but just a note there that his price is pretty much up to 34 points. And then here's the biggest one, I think, for a lot of lists is Rose Tico, going up from 25 to 28 points. We normally see her with the C-3PO, which is still 5 points. So that's now a, 33-point ship? Because that's how math works.
That's still a really good.
That's amazing value for coordinating. I mean, we were just talking about,
Coordinating,
like,
calculate, and rerolls, yeah.
yeah, can you mod your own dice while coordinating? You are a good coordinator then. So I think she'll still show up, obviously. But we might see Vi and BB-8 make appearances as the C-3PO carrier now. So I'm excited to see other ships than Rose in Resistance lists. And probably there could be some potential there, especially with the new Y-Wings who like taking actions. So we'll see. Moving on to A-Wings, not a lot to talk about for A-Wings. That Lulo did go down. They haven't been watching Carson Ray's XTC run, that's for sure. But Lulo goes down to 40 points, which is now makes ZZ to Low the most expensive A-Wing. Makes sense to me. Lulo's still great, but risky. Then the other change for A-Wings is Merle gets a 1 point increase, so now Merle's the same cost as a Blue Squadron recruit. Same thing that turns out Merle's ability, not a penalty. Does not seem as penalizing as one might think. In fact, very, very good. I'm surprised Merle didn't lose the talent slot, to be honest with you. I think.
Why would he?
I mean, to knock off intimidation Merles.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, all A-Wings have double, so by them only having 1, that is kind of losing.
I guess so. Yeah, because he can never intimidate and heroic at the same time. So.
Wait, what? Oh, intimidate heroic, gotcha, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we will still see Merle. If you were playing Merle at 1 point, it's not going to dissuade you from that.
Especially now that we're building to 200.
Exactly, right? Like, should not be a problem. So let's see. Moving through here, we can skip through the YT 1300s, even though it says 1301, 1302, and 1303. Very confused by that. Just caught that. Anyways, they're the same price. Rey's still great. Fantastic. Han Solo and Chewbacca still see play. In more niche builds, but still see play. And then we get to another big change here with the T-70s. We got Poe Dameron. This is Trigger Happy Flyboy going down a point to just 61. The big change here is Commander Poe from the Heralds of Hope going down 5 points to 55, which is impressive to say the least. He can be a dedicated support ship if you're not familiar. I'm sure Dion's got it up there. Essentially every other round he lets the ship take 2 actions for a stress. Could be him, could be anybody at range 0 to 2, but it is every other round. I think we said at one point in time that I would rather still fly LO or 9 in that price point. What do you guys think about new Commander Poe?
You know, one of the things that I look at this ship, and if I try to look at it in a vacuum, I say, hey, this ability is pretty good, but we have such a warped perception of this Commander Poe because the trigger happy flyboy exists. Like
and a lot of the Resistance faction has easy access to double mods without needing this Poe's help.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be my first question. Is like, who's desperate for that second action?
Poe.
I mean, sorry.
The only thing I thought
Poe.
about is the action chain you can create. Like, someone does an action, Poe says they get to do another action, and then Zori can pick either one of those two actions to do her thing off of.
Wait, speaking of action chains, and specifically red actions, does he combine with Akbar? Akbar says, after you perform a red action, okay. But then again, it's at Akbar's I2 and not Poe's I6.
A lot of what Poe
it doesn't
lost
matter about the initiative. It's after a friendly ship at range, so it's when
it's when that ship activates. So you're giving that ship that activates, whether it's himself or a friendly ship up to range 2. So you're not getting any initiative advantage with the actions. You're just getting more actions.
So I actually think I mean, if you're needing points, if you think about it, Poe, I mean, a ship doesn't need double actions every single turn. There's turns where those double actions, when you want to target lock focus, or you want to like barrel roll and guarantee a mod or something like that. Actually, that's a terrible idea because they already have barrel roll linked. But you get it. Like they want to boost and guarantee a mod. You don't need that every single turn. So it being every other turn is fine. I mean, you see Gamut Key being every other turn, and for the 6 points, it was well worth every other turn having that additional token. So
I think the problem is like you're bringing a 55-point ship that is I6 who could use the ability for itself, but it's how much you're investing into that. Whereas you could just invest into other Poe or other things and just have a very cheap Rose with C-3PO.
I was just gonna say that, Ryan.
Yeah. Even a BB with C-3PO is 33 points. And yeah, it's an extreme. Like I get the I6. I mean, that can't be understated. But 14 more points than the generic, when most of the time you're just flying around single actioning. I don't know. Maybe there's something. Maybe Commander Poe does need like a BB droid or something, BB-8, to really trigger him off of. What that could be, I don't know. But let's keep it moving though, because I don't think there's a lot else to talk about that. We see LO and 9 go down a point. I think these are fantastic ships. LO with the 3 Talon rolls that are white, 9 Nub, who, once you put Pad and Analyzer on them, can really take a lot of actions while doing red maneuvers and clearing stress and stuff, flying over debris. But I think, like I said, though, it's that compression, though, that the generic T-70 is so good that Blue Squadron rookie, that like everybody else needs to be pressed down to compete with its efficiency. We see one of the few pilots here, named pilots rather, which is Snap, which is the free boost, which is what Dion's showing right now, does go down in price, but the other Snap, referred to as Black 2. That's the flappy wings, strain and calculate one. We do stay the same price. Those 4 T-70s with Timon have been nasty list, very effective. So not surprised to see them not go down. Just Pava stays the same. Also a ship that has natural double modification, very cool. So stays the same price. And then we get to the bottom of the barrel here. Kirkun, Jofsty Striker, Kai, and Nimi, and even Tubbs. Nimi is interesting to go down because I think Nimi is one of the better ones. where if they're Ryan, what's the ability? If you're shooting a ship with higher initiative, you get to change a blank to an eyeball. Is that right?
That should be correct. I'm double checking.
Yeah,
I think it's higher initiative than. Go ahead, Deal.
Yeah, why? So she's initiative 2. While you perform an attack, if the defender's initiative is higher than yours, you may change one blank to an eyeball result.
Yeah, Nimi. Maybe it's because like generics, we see more generics. I don't know. Nimi's a dice modification. If you could just hold on to that focus, is surprisingly good. So good. So to see her go down in price, or they, I assume it's a girl, but what do I know? To see that go down in price is very interesting because now it's the same price as Bastion, who's the one who got free locks when a damaged ship is around. So overall, I think positive changes for the T-70. The ones that were good stayed the same price, and the ones that needed a little bit of help went down. Let's check on the black one Untitled, though. Did it stay the same price? No, it went down from 5 to 4. And same thing with, the overdrive thruster that you put on the T-70s also stayed the same price. 7 on I-5s, 8 on I-6s. We don't really see it much on anything else other than that. Surprisingly effective on 9-nub to do those big boosts to get into range 1 to clear the stress. I think that covers the T-70s. So I'll move on to their upgrade slots here. We see BB-8, the named BB Astromech, overall go down some. It says -1. Oh, I see it here. It goes down. Wait, no.
No, I think that might be a mistake on our part.
I think that one is a mistake.
I think I modified that. I looked at what it was before and what it was now. It did go down by 1 in some of the later initiatives. Like it used to be 8 on Poe.
I'm double checking right now. Let's see what Yasby says. Yasby reads it
Yasby
as...
has all the new stuff. Yasby doesn't have the old points, just the new ones.
Oh, I understand. Okay, well...
You have to look at the old points documents if you can find it.
Yeah, it's still 7 for Poe, 6 for everybody else, and this kind of is whatever your initiative is, essentially. Which is, as a note, 1 more point than... Oh, that's where the confusion is. So BB-8, who gives you the option to boost when you spin the charge, is 1 more point than your initiative, where the generic BBs are the cost of your initiative. Normally see them on the BB, call them BB Blues, as I normally see it on the Blue Squadron X-Wing. Oh, that's the other thing I was thinking about for the X-Wings. We see the underslung blaster cannon go down a price, or point, to just 2 points. Not utilized enough. It's a very interesting upgrade, especially on, I think, Bastion and Poe, where you can getting multiple actions or free locks. But we don't see it in play. Let's see, who else went down? M9G8. That's the lock. Lock a friendly, they get rerolls, or lock an enemy, and then you can reroll like their hits if you want. Let's see, then GA97. It's the resistance, isn't it?
Yep.
It's the resistance. Not utilized since Worlds 2019 and Ryan's Space Jam run in early 2020. So maybe we'll get a little bit more. It's the resistance here. Maybe sandbagging a Y-Wing? Does that mean anything to you guys?
I'll just have Zori come out of hyperspace or something. Would be
Sure.
very thematic for episode 9.
Yeah, that's true. Very episode 9.
I think the chat's mentioning, you didn't mention the new astromech, Lair or Larry, L4ER5.
All right, let's talk about Larry. I did skip over it in my BB-8 confusion. Let's see what Larry does. That's the obviously unique because his name's Larry, but adds rotate into calculate. And at the start of the engagement phase, you may transfer one calculate token to a friendly ship in your firing arc, which you probably have multiple of because you have a rotate action. I mean, this just goes right in hand with all the Y-Wings that love passing tokens and asking if people have calculates and stuff like that. But once again, though, this just like that Watchful Astromech is another way for these Y-Wings to get calculates anyways outside of their intuitive interface. So, I don't know. Where are you putting Larry, Brian?
I think the big one that stands out is Lega. Because Lega wants friendly ships to have calculates in its arc to get rerolls.
Ah, okay. That's smart. That's
So
smart.
if someone else needs to calculate more than Lega, Lega can take the calculate from its interface if it already barrel rolled, boosted, locked, whatever, throw it off to a friend, and then take advantage of it still itself. As long as it's still calculating. So Lega ideally, they either want to shoot simultaneously to have shot order control, or that ship with calculate would shoot after.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm waiting to see the squad that like synergizes all the calculating and the rerolls and the passing and the calculates. I don't know what that is, but I'm excited to find out what that list entails. So let's see, what else do we have here? We see Leia go down, which is a boon for Kova, which is where you normally see that Leia double crew.
So Kova did go down a point.
Kova did go down a point, turns out. So that's good. Kova's always been good, but like...
Oh, Kova went down a point, but if you took heroic, Kova stayed the same.
Heroic went up.
True
Remember, yeah. Heroic going up to 2 points for everybody. A hotly debated card. I still don't know if that's worth it or not, but at least I'm second guessing it now. Now I'm not just slapping it on to everybody who's got a talent slot, right? Now I'm looking at Predator or marksmanship or other things, composure, whatever. So at least it's a decision now. Let's see. We have Ray Gunner going down, which I think we only see on like Han and Vinny. So
speaking of on Han though, so Ray Gunner is 10. Throw that on Han, makes him 72, which is only 4 more points than Ray, who now has a higher initiative shot, can use the turret in any zone and not just the front, and get a very Ray type accurate effect. Not have the Finn crew for a more dice unless you take trick shot.
Yeah,
just as modified.
My Hans normally have Corcella and Trick Shot, so I could just blue maneuver right onto a debris.
Yeah.
But Ray, I mean, I agree that if you have the option to choose Ray or Han, I think I'd always go with Ray. But so to compress that down, where the Han with Ray is interesting. Let's see. What is the last one here? Last one on our list is Ferrosphere Paint, which has had quite the journey, by the way. Started at 6 points because we thought it was going to be good. Ferrosphere Paint is a tech that says after an enemy ship blocks you, if you're not in that ship's front arc, or excuse me, if you're not in that ship's bullseye, that ship gains 1 stress token. Will Ferrosphere see play at all?
I already see it. It's usually on Poe, like on the overdrive, like 90-point Poe. They usually throw it on there just to keep them alive a little longer.
Makes sense. Because if they're stressed now, it's easier to loop around them.
If you're a resistance player and you're seeing a lot of E-wings, maybe this is at least a little bit of tech. Slow them down a little bit.
I don't know.
Really, because they're locking you turn one.
It's like turn 1, turn 2, do a blue.
Yeah, same thing with like droids. Like they have maneuvers to figure out ways to clear stress before combat. So
it's mainly combating your tracers and your false transponder codes.
which
And
both
just
went
in
up.
general, and just in general, alpha strikey lists that have to actually take a lock action in the same turn they'd like to shoot you.
We'll see. We'll see if it gets play at 3 points. And then we talk about
50% discount.
I mean, that's from where it started. Yeah, that's a huge discount.
Used to be 6, I think.
Yep. And it was unplayed at that point. So then we talked about Black One and Kaz's Fireball. Ray stays the same. So that's a total of only a negative 31. Which is.
Did you talk about Babu?
Oh. I don't know if we talked about Babu in the generic, but we can. Let's pull up that Babu.
It's a list for Scum and Resistance.
Yeah, it wasn't talked about in Scum.
It probably was, but
This is a new episode.
New episode. Babu
this is a
Frick.
podcast, not an episode.
Exactly.
I'm
I'm panicking. Give me a moment. I'm looking for it.
You're okay. It's not on the. While you're scrambling for it, can I pause and ask? Is the official builder up? Because I see Dylan's trying to find it.
It's up. It's up, but it's deprecated. Like it's it's not. Like I'm just using it for the pictures. That's it.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
But like, is the new stuff on the official builder?
No. No,
Okay.
and
Well,
it's
that's
the old
sad.
points too.
That's super sad.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about Babu, though. Babu, as mentioned here, Scum and Villainy or Resistance. He is an illicit. He's just a little guy. So you could fit into anywhere. No crew slot needed. Babu has an ability which reads, before you would gain a non-lock red or orange token, you may spend 1 charge to place it on this card instead. During the system phase, if there are 1 or more tokens on this card, you must spend 1 charge. If you cannot, remove these tokens and gain the matching tokens. So let's non-lock red tokens. We got Stress, Strain, Deplete, Ion. Sounds about right.
Yep.
Didn't hear a correction there.
Disarm.
Well, these are orange tokens. So you have the orange token of Disarm, Tractor, Jam. Is there another orange token?
I think that's
Orange?
it for now.
Orange?
Yeah.
All right. So when you receive one of these, you have to spend one of these charges. And if you don't spend all of the charges in a single round, say you did a red reload action and you don't want the disarm or stress, you could spend 2 charges off of Babu. And then the next system phase, you're going to spend the 3rd charge. And then now in the 3rd round, you would then receive the stress and the disarm. This actually has a lot of applications because a lot of ships that deal with these orange tokens have illicits. We're talking about jamming, like Hawks. We're talking about tractor beam on quad jumpers. What's some other ones? Let's see. So maybe an electro proton bomb. You could get rid of the disarm from that as well. I think the big ones though are the disarm and stress for the red token. I tried it on the fireball. I think that's the only time I've put this on the board. I tried it on the fireball, so I wouldn't have to disarm or expose cards and to still get rid of the disarms. But I think, yeah, we have Kyle, the scout here. This is really interesting on Zari, or Zori, excuse me, not Zari, the A-Wing, Zori, the Y-Wing, because you can use the Wartime Loadout reload to keep firing your munitions, say like an advanced proton torpedo. If you have friendlies who can lock around you, you can, for 2 rounds in a row, shoot these advanced proton torpedoes. Actually, I guess there'd be 3. You'd spend the initial one, you'd Babu Frick for 2 rounds, and then the 3rd round, you're stuck with 2 weapons disabled. So this comes in at 7 points. What else? What screams out to you guys? Where is like the best application for this Babu Frick?
I don't know about the best, and it's a little expensive, I think. I think that's what's probably going to hurt it the most is just the price. I think it was priced a little bit higher than it needs to be. Sounds more like a 4 or 5 point upgrade.
But until you mix Jabba in with this thing.
It's really,
yeah, but Jabba went up to 11 though, so
Sure.
This is a really good upgrade though across the board.
It is.
You can use this.
But I think one of the most difficult things to deal with, and we talked about it, was the ions. So I think this is a really good upgrade for dealing with ion. The T-70s with Black 1, for example, they want to do that, and they do have it. At least I don't know about all of them, but at least one or some of them.
None of them have illicit.
Oh,
No
they don't?
T-70s have illicit.
No,
The
just-
Y-wing,
they have the tech.
You're thinking of the 65.
The Y-wing, the
Yeah.
Fireball, and the Falcon have access to illicit.
Y-wing, Fireball, and the Falcon. Yeah, maybe like William said, if you want to be able to on Kazuda be able to shed that.
Yeah,
disarm.
I think that's mostly like disarm for like reloading.
But at 7 points for that, I don't know.
I think Babu might be costing 7 points for being part of the Scum faction. I don't think he's worth 7 in the Resistance faction, to be quite honest.
Where's our variable faction pricing? Come on.
Soon.
That actually would help. That actually would have helped Gleb stay
Yeah.
affordable for First Order and Imperial, because definitely
Right.
not worth that much in those factions.
I'm trying to think of, so the most abusive thing I've seen is definitely like Jabba YV666s, where this dude just doesn't have to move. It's like contraband on steroids at that point.
Just zero stop indefinitely.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
until 12 rounds is up, right? Because you got 3 charges for this, and the timing of Jabba gives you essentially 4 extra rounds. So, or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know if that even works that great, because you would gain it in the end phase and then lose it. So you'd actually still only be able to use it like 2 or 3 times, but you just would never take the tokens.
That's
I don't know.
ridiculous.
I think the only other thing I've seen on it is Forlom Crew. If you like Forlom Crew, you can. That's a way to self-ionize yourself. If you're, say, a medium base, you can do this twice in a row. So you shoot with Forlom, take an ion, lose a charge, right? Because the charge goes on Babu. The next round, you would lose a charge and then shoot again, and then essentially you end up with the third round with like 4 or 5 ions, 6 ions, something like that. But I don't know. We'll see what the actual place for Babu is. I do think he's priced for Scum shenanigans right now, so we'll see. Maybe Unkar Plut, so you don't have to tractor yourself.
Oh.
I guess.
And then
Okay.
eventually you'll end up with like 4 tractors, but it doesn't matter. 'Cause
Hey, it doesn't
1 and
matter.
4. Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as it's 1, it doesn't matter. It's the same.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. Interesting card. I hate that it's given to Scum though. I love Scum, but come on.
It's
I
one of those.
agree.
It's one of those. It's one of those times where X-wing has the lore and balance problem, right? There's the only reason Babu Frick is in Scum, is available to Scum, is because of the lore. There's no other reason, because you would argue that for balancing a game reason, you just don't even put it in the faction, right?
I've only ever seen Babu in a resistance fighter.
But he's a spice runner, man.
He is a
like
spice runner though.
the Babu.
I don't see him running a ship.
No, he just flies along with it. So I don't know. Maybe, you know what I'm waiting for? All these cards only say Scum. Let's get an and villainy faction. Come on, let's go. Let's take all the wholesome stuff, and then we're gonna move to and villainy.
There you go. All right, so that wraps up the Resistance. We're going to be jumping now into the First Order, and Ryan's going to take us home.
All right. Do we want to? Let's just go in order of the sheet. It makes it easier this way. So we'll start with the TIE BAs. We got Von Reg, who went down 1. Hollow stayed the same. Ember went down 3, correctly, to be quite honest. Probably even more. And then the First Order Provocateur, no decrease. So Von Reg, a little bit cheaper. Ember being 7 points over a generic was pretty ridiculous, to be quite honest. Ember's ability was very negligible, only gained 1 initiative, and that was kind of it. Anything stand out for you guys on this? I think it all makes sense to me.
Yeah, why did the Major go down and not Hollow? Come on, Hollow's only I5.
Yeah,
Right,
but
okay.
Hollow's effect is better than Von Reg's, all right?
That wasn't jest, don't worry. I love Hollow.
Hey, you know what? You're asking the question someone in the audience might have, so. TIE FO Fighters. This is a big one. Midnight was 42 and easily very, very expensive for a TIE FO. Got knocked down 7 points to 35. So we know Midnight really has not seen any use. Could definitely see more use for that much of a decrease. Do I think it's competitive? Maybe. It still has the problem of it's a TIE FO that wants to take a lock. So if anyone else other than the ship that it has locked is shooting at it, it is a 3 agility and hope. So it's hard to invest in, and if you start coordinating it to get it multiple actions, then it's the whole, well, you're coordinating a 35-point First Order TIE fighter. You know, it's the value of coordinating that chassis is pretty low. I can still see it being taken more. I just don't expect it to be that much of a meta impact unless there is a very specific meta that is low ship count, like 2 or 3 ship is extremely more common than 4 ship, and you can set up Midnight early game much better. Oh, then we have Commander Malarus, the glitter stim pilot. For those who are not aware what glitter stim was, and who may not even remember what Malarus does as a pilot of a FO fighter and not a Xi shuttles, at the start of engagement you may spend 1 charge and gain a stress token. Malarus has 2 charges, none reoccurring. If you do until the end of the round while you defend or perform an attack, you may change all of your eyeballs to evades or hit results. So very effective. Went down 5 points. It is 33. That might be one of the actually true steals of the TIE FOs, is 33 points is the same cost as Scorch, who didn't go down at all, obviously has the really good hitting power, but has a lot of issues with staying on target or having a high amount of uptime shooting at desired targets. So there might be a real question. Do I take Malarus or do I take Scorch? Malarus has a lot more consistency, while Scorch has, likely 1 or 2 turns of maybe a good punch. And I say maybe because he's rarely double modded. Static went down 2 points. That is you can spend a lock and a focus to change all your results to crits. Again, similar to Midnight, you have the issue of you need to have a way to invest for this ship to get multiple actions. Not normally worth it on a TIE FO. Long Shot went down 1 point to 30. That as well might be a really good adjustment as who else you compare it to, with Null and Muse both staying at 30. I think Long Shot's going to be the first one you take in that points bracket, Muse likely second, Null third, even though Null does have that I7 capacity, but it's a TIE FO at I7. Would be. Tina, no cost change at 0. And then we get to, I find kind of questionable in my eyes. The Omega Squadron Ace Omega Squadron Ace, Lieutenant Revis, Zeta Squadron Pilot, and Epsilon Squadron Cadet all went up 1. I don't know if I've ever seen Omega Squadron Ace or even a Zeta Squadron Pilot Epsilon cadets we've seen as good fillers and used in malware, but malware hasn't really shown up that much. Malware still exists, by the way. We'll get to the fact that it actually still fits, just no upgrades across the board. It is just Commander Malarus and the Xi shuttle and 6 cadets. Nothing else.
I feel like the Epsilon is strictly a victim of the attack on the low initiative spam because of the Ocho, right? Of the having 8 of them. Now you can't.
Yeah, I will say, even though the Ocho was not a competitive list, it's in most cases not a fun game to play. There's not much of interaction going on besides trying to kill 8 3 agility ships with 4 health. It's a long slog for sure in almost all cases. So we'll see. I mean, it's unfortunate because at 25 points it had a better value in that filler aspect of like 1 or 2 of them in some lists. I think it was kind of unfortunate that Revis also got hurt a little bit. Like went up 1 point. I really liked Revis. Even if it could be like Merrill, like same cost as the same initiative version. I don't know why that couldn't have been a thing, but Revis went up 1 point. Now on to actually new ship content stuff. We got the TIE FO bomber, who I'd like to call in short the Fomber. We have Breach, kind of the standout. I think one of the ones people were looking at earlier is sort of that red line light ability with the capability of getting double modifications through using after fully execute a maneuver or perform boost action. If you moved through an enemy ship, you may acquire a lock on that ship. 36. I'm actually going to go down all the points real quick because this helps put in perspective this cost. Scorch is 35, Dread is 32, Grudge is also 36, First Order Cadet is 32, and the St. Arjamis Test Pilot is 31. So for only 5 more points, you can go from the St. Arjamis Test Pilot all the way to I-5 Breach. I think in a much more extreme situation, this is very comparable to what we talked about the Resistance Y-Wings. The names are priced to buy because the generics are likely over the amount that they should be at face value for what we're seeing. Grudge being the same cost as Breach has an interesting effect as well because that widespread auto damage consistency with bombs. Grudge's ability at the range 0 to 2 of the bomb template, not even the enemy ship. If the enemy ship is outside of range 2, but the bomb device itself is inside 0 to 2, Grudge can still allow and force a dice to be one dice to be re-rolled from that bomb detonation. So your proxy mines, your thermal detonators, as we all know, can be very effective and very consistent and get the results you're looking for. So Scorch being at 35, I think is probably too much. I think last time I looked at Scorch's ability, I went, this should probably be pretty cheap for the other ones. For a reminder, while a friendly ship at range 0 to 1 performs a primary attack, it may spend 1 hit result. If it does, after defending, the defender gains a strain token. So you're getting rid of one of your results to give an enemy ship a strain that doesn't translate well mathematically. For people who I know that have run the numbers and look at it, that's like not a good trade at all whatsoever. You could better off forcing opponents to use modifications to then make the next attack work just as well or better if the opposing ship doesn't have mods because you left that hit on the board. Dread, same cost as First Order Cadet, makes sense. If I recall, Dread's ability was pretty negligible. It was that sort of baseline, this thing has an ability, but it's not that amazing, so it can be the same price and just be the generic, or it can be the named version of the generic. I think Dion's putting it up in a moment. Yep, after you reload, each ship in your bullseye gains a deplete. Most of the time when you're reloading, you're not pointing at anything, you're leaving. So that's fine. I think overall, Breach and Grudge, Breach is definitely a good buy. for 5 more points. Is he a good buy overall when you add things to him? What do you want to add to him? Do you want to only add a torpedo or missile because you want to go in on the double mods potential? A lot of people looked at the pattern analyzer and either feedback ping with bombs or proud tradition and pattern analyzer to get that 3 sloop after, because you have the system phase boost on the ship as a base ability, and then you can help set up your sloops to get that red maneuver, turnaround, double mod, proton torpedo. Is that too many points to invest in that little trick? Maybe. But you only have 5 points and you go up to I5, which is pretty good. What do you guys think on the bombers?
I think I think it's good not to underestimate the pursuit thrusters and mine combination. You can go proxy mine
sure.
to just get more on there, but also you can do the just kind of save some points and go with the thermal. Not thermal. What are they? The counter nets for
Counter
3
nets at
points
3,
only.
yeah.
And they've got some range on them, so you can get some serious range on where you're dropping those things. And then also the just the ability to throw the pings on there. What are they? You call them feedback pings? Is that what they're called? Basically, after somebody moves, you get a free target lock.
Yeah, moves
And
within
it's
range 0 to 1 of a device. Yep.
yes, and all of them get a free target lock. I mean, if you've got presumably if you've got ping on all of them, they're all getting it regardless of the range. So even if you're not hitting them with the mine, just throwing the mine on there and they're moving away from it and they're avoiding it, you're still picking up that lock. So it makes that turnaround. Basically, you get your lock and it makes it opens up some really good opportunities after you turn around and you're chasing them. And when they're avoiding rocks, they're not looking at pointing at you. They're not avoiding rocks. When they're avoiding mines or bombs, they're not looking to shoot you. They're looking to avoid those things, and you're picking up your free locks. So I think they're much better than what people are, or than what we're. I don't know about people because I don't know what people are building with them. But I think they're much better than what we're giving them credit for. And I think there's also a really good opportunity to throw that feedback ping, 3 of these, maybe 4, and something like one of the, I don't see it here on the board, but one of the ones that can carry the sensor buoys.
The Xi shuttle. Yeah, because
Yeah.
feedback ping can go off the sensor buoys, and you can nestle those right into some big gas clouds, and the enemy will have a good time attempting to shoot those early.
And it basically says you just put them in 2 different areas, and basically you're an E-wing now. You're showing up with a target lock first turn, and then so I think there's a lot of potential there, and that system phase boost to a dropping a bomb is so good. I mean, the only one that can really do that right now is actually two. Is one of them is the Punisher that can
Death Ring.
That one of them is Death Rain, and then the other one would be Vagabond, who can aileron and then drop a bomb after aileron.
Yep.
Well, I mean, Moff Gerard could give a ship a boost, and then it could drop
Give
a bomb.
Decimator.
Give a bunch of ships a boost. Yeah.
True, but I mean that one's a little bit less.
Niche, pretty niche.
Yeah, but Vagabond and Death Rain can definitely do it. But Death Rain usually wants to do it because of the to get those actions. So it's not really doing it to set up the bombs. They wanted to set up the actions. And then Vagabond, I think just Vagabond suffers from being a striker. I mean, the strikers don't want to do that. They want to do something different.
To put in perspective, since it was talked about a lot and elaborated more by Marcel, feedback ping is 1 point. That's it. So very easy to slot in your list. You just need to have a talent. So you can't be the lowest generic, and you can't be Grudge. Yes, which makes sense. Grudge would probably be naturally really good with feedback ping because it already wants to have bombs in the list.
And think about it this way too. Again, just because of what it is, it opens up. Who's to say you can't just start a couple of them like at a good distance from each other, like in the lanes that people want to advance from. K-turn, drop a couple proximity mines. Nobody's gonna fly over those proximity mines. You can't shoot those proximity mines away. They're not gonna run over them. But now you've got a big old circle on where you're gonna be getting your free target locks, and they have to come chase you. So just start off K-turn, put the proximity mines there, which are essentially serving as sensor buoys or sensor buoys, and then you de-stress, and then you go and set up for your target lock focus and some type of missile or torpedo.
Before anyone makes this mistake, because I've been around people who have recently, chaff missiles, the chaff cloud that gets deployed, is an obstacle, not a device. I've seen people try to use feedback ping with chaff, and even though it occupies a missile and payload slot, but most people have seen it used to be called device, the cloud itself is an obstacle. All right, so moving on from the new FO bombers, we get to the Upsilon class shuttles, and all stayed the same except Dormits, who got smacked really hard with 7-point increase. Do we see that as because that will at least, like, is there something that the bomber or Whisper did with Dormits that someone tested in testing and found this might not be a thing we should allow?
I have to assume that it is the I'm looking up the name of it because I'm not as familiar. The sensor Scramblers that allow you to set up with a cloak token. So range 2 from the board edge. Well, no, it's range 2 from Dormants, isn't it? So
From
that's
Dormants,
almost,
yes, and
that's
it has to be
almost-
small base only.
Yeah, so Whisper with cloak. So now you're about range 3. You're a third of the way up the board, and then you can decloak, which is a decloak plus a 5 forward is another 3 range bands. So you're already to the other side of the board, turn 1. So maybe, I guess,
And you also have the thing that can double stress somebody.
Pyre.
And the first
Commander
turn,
Pyre,
Commander Pyre.
Dormants.
So if you do that, Commander Pyre, and then throw 2 ships at it, it's a dead turn 1 ship most
Yeah,
likely.
sensor Scrambler, decloak right away, 5 straight boost
Yes, 5 straight boost, exactly.
on the silencers. Yeah, you can get the other side of the board, make someone's life real
then
sad.
Kylo shoots a proton or torpedo at you.
Not like you can't do this now. It's not like they made Dormits 200 points.
Right.
You can
No.
still fit Dormits and Kylo if you want and do that trick.
It's just oppressive, though, and it might be one of the weirdest things for me to say, but they might have priced this because of Epic Play. What? I know, Epic Play affecting our 200-point gain.
Yeah.
I think they should errata Dormits to be, maybe not errata, but variable his pricing.
Ban.
I mean, sure.
Ban.
He's a problem, just get him out.
Yeah, fair enough.
He's a candidate for the list. I would not be surprised.
Just because it's a weird thing to design around. Because, like, yeah, like you had to design Scramblers, and you're like, wait, Dormits, decloak, 5 straight boost silencer.
Crap.
Yeah.
Problem. Because someone who's not aware of that, that's just going to be a really bad experience to, like, on the other side of the board, you get to say, all right, that ship's double stressed. And now I'm going to go after it, and there's nothing you can do about it at all. All right. So, as I said, Upsilons, besides Dormits, all the same. Xi shuttles. As I mentioned earlier, Commander Malarus and all of those TIE-FO cadets still fit, because even though the cadets went up 1 point and Malarus was at 45, went down to 44. So -1, it's an even 200 for the entire list. No fitting, proud tradition, and some like 1 or 2 points or something like that. It's just, that's what it is. Gideon Haas stays the same. Agent Terex goes down 4 points, obviously realizing you have to invest points to make him worth his ability in the illicits. So it's down to 38. And then we saw the First Order Courier actually drop 3 points as well, down to 35. So you might see more use out of the Courier because at 38, it was a no-brainer to spend the 2 points to go up to hit Gideon Hask before. But now the First Order Courier at 5 points less has that 5-point cushion of what crew can I buy that might make this more worthwhile than Gideon Hask. Now on to I did actually skip over.
You skipped from the bombers through
down
the
to the
Whisper.
Upsilons. It's because because I saw the red and yellow move down to red and yellow there. All right, never mind. All right, so let's go with TISF. We're gonna do a little bit of we're all over the place right now. It's what the First Order, they make you go crazy. Quick Draw goes down 3 points from 47 to 44. Didn't really see a lot of play in extended. It was just not that great because it could never really, most of the First Order ace type list or high initiative ships didn't have a great way to deal with the opposing high reposition ships that likely would go last most cases because they bid. In a non-bidding world, Quick Draw not only got cheaper, but is also more threatening in the 50-50 chance it moves after you.
Ryan, need I remind you my opening title? It is not a non-bidding world. It's still X-Wing.
I didn't say it was an X-Wing.
I'm just saying. I've heard a lot of this non-bidding world. Quick Draw was fine then. It's fine now. It's actually better than fine now.
Right. How about a non-bidding country? We're still in the same world. Or continent. Let's do continent.
Galaxy. Okay, it's a galaxy. Get it.
All right. You were elaborating more on Quick Draw though, because you've played Quick Draw a lot, Marcel.
Yeah, I do, but I play Quick Draw a lot, but I don't, for the same reasons that a lot of people don't like him, which is it's hard for him to. He's not, he's not a Kylo, he's not a Von Reg, he's not double repositioning and things like that. He does punch very hard, but for that reason, I always when I fly him, I always fly him really loaded up, which is usually pattern analyzer, afterburner, so he can still get like actions. Now, the way that I was testing out is him with Proud Tradition, pattern analyzer, afterburners, fire control system. Essentially, basically K-turn, and you can do up to 3 different actions after a K-turn, or not K. They have the sloop. So you can sloop and do 3 different actions after the sloop.
Not just sloop, hard one as well.
Hard one, yeah. They can do 3 different actions after a number of maneuvers.
I'm assuming you're also equipping the SF gunner, right? You didn't say
that. Of course.
Assuming, which, by the way,
yeah, it's stapled on.
That stays the same.
Yeah, it stays at 9. Yeah, but that's 53 points. So it's 53. And then an additional 7 for the afterburners is 60, and then pattern analyzer 5, Proud Tradition 2 is 67 points. So it's about the price of a less than something like a Fenrau or something like that. But it hits really hard.
That's about the same price as that Trigger Happy Flyboy Poe, with just hardcore and heroic.
But again, you can get you're always actioned. And it's still hitting you twice. That's why you want that fire control system on there. And it still has that the same type of effect of a Zam or the same type of effect of a Dengar. Do I really want to shoot this ship? And I think that's something that people forget about Quick Draw. When it's on the board, people forget that, oh wait, if I hit it, it's gonna hit me back. And unlike those ships, Quick Draw, when it loses a shield, can choose a different ship to shoot. So it makes his ability a little bit different, because it's not like I lost the shield, now I have to shoot you back. It's, oh, you shot me from the side? Well, too bad. This guy's in my arc. Now I'm going to shoot this guy in my arc. So Quick Draw is still really good. But I think you need to either invest a lot of points into him or invest into something like one of the coordinating ships with Biohex, whatever, the one that you throw a target lock on him and you make sure you can target lock him no matter where he is. But you need support. If it's just flying by itself, it does struggle to keep. It doesn't have a boost. If you're barrel rolling, you're not modded. So double shots that are unmodded, I mean, they're garbage. So you got to invest points into it.
Yep. Continuing down, we got Backdraft going down 2 points from 38 to 36. Pretty solid. Phasma going down 4 points. Phasma really never saw much play. Doesn't have a lot of extra offensive efficiency. Just has that little extra staying power at the cost of her friends. And no choice. It's a must. So, cool, I guess. I don't know if you're going to see Phasma much more. LeHuse staying the same cost, and I think that's because LeHuse was already a pretty efficient purchase, and because of the adjustment to the player order not being controlled by bid, and it's 50-50, LeHuse's value increased with that as well. This is more of a jousting I5. So there's a lot of things going on in the faction right now that utilize locking or applying red or orange tokens for one of LeHuse's favorite friends, Lieutenant Revis, to take advantage of as well and get that spotting lock effect. The only other SF that went down was the Omega Squadron Expert, went from 34 to 33. So you can have 6 of them if you want, I guess, or, only 1 more point cost to go from an I2 to an I3 with a talent slot. So a little more of a potential purchase choice. The silencers, we had Kylo go up 1 from 76 to 77. We had Blackout go down 2, 63 to 61. Recoil 57 to 56, down 1. And the Sinar Jameis Engineer go back up 2, likely because of the adjustment to sensitive controls going from 2 to 0. Anything that stands out for you guys in this? I mean, because they're not drastic changes across the board. They're just a little bit of tweaks here and there.
I mean, I just want to reiterate what you said was that because what is it called? Sensitive controls.
Yep.
That's the configuration for auto thrusters. Because that is now free, and Blackout went down 2 points as well. That's, I think, really good value now. I think that's like the one niche thing that Blackout can do better than, say, Rush or Recoil, is that kind of slipping in and out of obstacles. So if you are looking, I think that's probably the biggest winner for the silencers. Plus, there's Cloak too. Does Cloak mean anything to them?
Are you willing to take, because it's a standardized upgrade, as soon as you take sensitive controls, all your silencers are now sensitive. Are you willing to take...
I'm running salads anyways. Blackout would be the only one.
Yeah, because you're probably putting the Kylo on the Whisper or something.
Yeah, I'd have a Whisper Kylo.
You could do that, yes.
Yeah, that's like the triple ace I'm trying to build.
Okay. And speaking of Whisper, yay segues. Which this will be our last ship. Save the best question mark for last. Find out momentarily. First off, in a very surprise, in my opinion, we'll hit the config first. It's 0. Its cost is baked directly into all pilots and chassis.
Called it.
I was really surprised about that.
Variable pricing in a configuration right there. That's what it is.
I just expect it to be treated like the 7Bs. But I think the only reason I could think of is because Wrath and Kylo are both I5. And you cannot give a price to both of those that's going to make a reason for me not to take either Kylo or Wrath, just be way too expensive. If they were different initiative, I think there might have been a way to do it at initiative value based.
I feel like the simplest solution is why points balance 2 different things. We can only balance 1 price.
That is true. So let's get into those points. So Kylo is 63 points. with obviously, so the jamming suite's built in, so we now know that's what it is. I don't yet know how that feels because this ship is so unique in what it can do and what it does and its effect on the board state. And Kylo has 3 force, and he's I5, and he could take all those force potential upgrades as an option. So that's a definite we'll see. It might feel a little much because you can go to the silencer for 14 more points. Does that equal as the cost? I don't know. It's hard to tell yet. Wrath is 53, Nightfall is 49, and then Whirlwind, 709th Legion, and Red Fury Zealot are all 47, doing the sort of gun runner treatment where the actual jam action itself is still as valuable on the lower initiative ships because you get to guarantee that action, even though there's the effect, unfortunately, still in the game where you can just lock stuff early game and kind of ignore low initiative jam. So, or no, sorry, I read the wrong. Red Fury Zealot's 44. My bad. It's Whirlwind is the same.
I just changed it.
You just fixed it.
Yeah,
okay.
Yasby has it. I'm double checking the points right now.
Okay, that was just a mistyping on our sheet. All right, well that's fixed. Good. But Whirlwind is the standard. I'm a named pilot that is the same cost as the talent generic. Now with all of these other prices on everything not named Kylo, I don't know if I ever take these ever at their costs. That is expensive for 2 agility, 3 hull, 2 shields, and sure you can increase that agility conditionally, but man, two turret arc front back only with the bullseye 3. Man, these are expensive to do anything close to what I think you'd want the Whisper to do in comparison to just saying, all right, the only Whisper I ever care about is Kylo. I would have considered Nightfall if the jamming suite config cost was not 0 and it was a drastic change to its cost overall, and we're able to bring everything else down. Because Nightfall does have the ability to, after you fully execute a maneuver or perform a boost action, each ship you moved through gains 2 jam tokens. Potentially a pretty solid effect. Not for 50, almost 50 points being 49. That's a quarter of your list. I don't know if I can make that investment.
I think we'll see a lot of these get played other than Kylo Ren. At least experimented with. I don't know about the Zealot, because jamming at I2 not as powerful. But like the 709s and anybody who's initiative 4, 5, or 6, I think has a lot of value for just the jamming alone.
I mean, so most of these are priced to the point where you're not, like, you can't take 5 flat out. That's like not a thing you can do. If you compare these to all of the named RZ2s you can put in a list and get 5 of those, like Marcel, from that perspective, how are these not considered like way more
Just
cost
worse.
than you would have expected, right? Like you can fit 5 RZ2s, all with solid names, abilities, and upgrades, but you can only fit 4 Whispers at most with some upgrades and maybe some words.
You really can't fit 5 RZ2s with a whole bunch of toys. You can fit.
What?
I mean, not
What?
any
What?
toys that matter. You can fit 4 of them with the toys that matter, like to make them
Alright.
hit hard, because they're only rolling 2 attack dice. In order to make the RZ2s really leverage what, really be what they need to be. That's why they're not in hyperspace, or they're not good in hyperspace, because they want advanced optics and they want heroic. That's 7 points alone right there. So it's bringing them up to that 40-point range, and that's assuming those are the generics. Now you're talking about the Initiative 5. ZZ's at 41. With that, it's at 48. So you're only bringing 4 with toys.
So just to put in perspective,
Mhm.
I have 13 points left, and I have ZZ, Tally, Lulo, Merrill, and Greer, all considered to be probably the top 5, with some good mentions to Zari and Roby in a 5 A-Wing list. And you still have 13 points with 5 of those, all with viable abilities.
So
Whispers, you get 4.
Yeah, so I
only.
had I tried 4.
I'm not saying they're meant to be spammed, but the value difference is so drastic.
No, I agree with you, but I tried 4 and it didn't go well, but I didn't go well for other reasons. But I had 4 of the Initiative 4 ones with Predators. So
just to be clear, we're talking about the Whisper right now, right?
Yes, the Whisper.
Okay, sorry, we just use
the TIE Whisper 709 Legion Ace is Initiative 4, and I had 4 of those with Predator, and I forgot something else that was 1 point. So basically, they were 4 50-point ones. And there you go. I had Predator and Marksman, so they were, Predator and Marksman takes them to an even 50. It felt really good. It didn't do well, but it didn't do well for other reasons. But it felt like being able to move, jam. It was not hard to set up the bullseyes. At Initiative 4 especially, and then getting the rerolls, getting the crits, and mostly attacking ships that were unmodded. And then on the way back, most of the attacks, I was at Agility 3 because they were either attacking after they were getting jammed, or they were attacking and spending their token to convert their focus result to a hit. So if they spend their focus to convert it, then I'm getting an additional die as well. So it actually didn't feel too bad. I've got to play it more, but just four Initiative 4s with Predator Marksman felt like if I threw more stuff on there, it'd be nice, but they didn't need it. It's what I felt. Again, it felt okay. It didn't feel bad.
You did mention the one thing that a lot of people forget. It does have a Captain Faroff style effect, where if they do spend their only green token to modify their attack dice, they are giving you some level of defense, right? Because they don't have it anymore while you are defending. Your green dice have not rolled when they are attacking and finishing their modification. So a lot of people think that, you have to jam, or you have to block, or they have to not have a green token because they chose a lock action or something like that. But no, it could actually just be them spending the focus offensively, which is still probably the correct decision, because modifying your offense is better than giving opponents more defense, because the red dice are already weighted meant to be better than green. Mm-hmm. But it's still something to remember.
And you also got to think, if you're shooting first, it makes people kind of hold on to that focus token. Well, if I spend it, you're going to get an extra agility, and then on top of that, you're going to shoot me back without being unmodded. So, and that a back arc again comes in handy, because it gives you an out. Then it gives you that A-wing effect where you're getting to a safe distance to 2, then you can go ahead and come around for a round 2. So, I don't think they're that. I don't think they're bad. I think they're good. They're probably. I agree with you. They're probably high on points, but I don't think they're high by that much. Maybe 2 or 3 points tops. 2 points. I didn't even think 3 points is too much. I think they're 2 points at the most.
I will say these current point costs might have saved people a lot of money. Not trying to buy multiple TIE Whispers and buying 2 to 3 packs just to have those. These points might have accident or even purposely saved some people some money by not having to buy all those packs. Will, do you own any more anything more in your mind with the Whispers?
I think that I think you guys covered a lot, but the only thing in my mind is that people aren't utilizing the missiles. Like, when I tried them out, I didn't try any missiles on them. A lot of people were just looking at like proton rockets, or Marcel also didn't run, just ran Predator. So I'm interested to see maybe there's some synergy there with like getting like that first order courier with like a targeting synchronizer or something, and some buoys maybe just like one of the bombers with synchronizer to try to get those whispers able to shoot meaningful shots via the missiles. Because right now the biggest thing is that like that they don't have a jam rotate or a lock rotate, so you really have to choose sometimes. Do I want to jam this ship, or do I want to rotate my arc and shoot them? So as a note, I've done the math. 12 different action possibilities between the jamming suite and all of their linked actions. And I think that the limitations on like jam to rotate and what was the other one? Lock to rotate is really slowing them down. And honestly, a lot of the time, because you're barrel rolling and boosting, because you're trying to be fast and maneuverable, you're not taking that lock action. And honestly, anybody but Kylo fears just taking a lock action because they need something for defense to keep that 5-hole intact. So I'll be interested to see, or I'll be on the lookout to see who's utilizing missiles on these things the best and what that combination of things is.
Yeah, like you said, the missile part's rough because lock and evade are the two actions that don't link into anything, whether it's jam or rotate on this. And I said in the chat, but you can thank Kylo for that probably because he has 3 force. Yeah. Kylo's the face of the ship anyway. So, and yeah, you talked about how many potential action combinations there are. You talk about a level of analysis paralysis people might have to decide their actions on this ship. We thought double reposition was bad. When people realized they might have got caught, only have a single reposition, decide if they need to rotate or jam or all that stuff.
And all these things that we're saying too, I think it's also just important to note that we're talking about them in a vacuum.
Oh yeah,
but the side shuttles or even Tabson, like they've got ships that can coordinate and give them that flexibility that they're missing. So again, the side shuttles with Agent Terex throwing out calculates over there, or the target locks with the sensor buoys. Again, the target locks are early with actually the sensor buoys don't work with them, but the
targeting synchronizer. Is that what you're talking about?
There you go.
Yep.
Well, I was talking about that. You can use a targeting synchronizer, which basically means you can use somebody else's lock to fire your own ordnance, but also like target locking yourself with the biohex, and then just being able to basically make sure that side shuttle doesn't have to like stay right on top of you in order for you to gain the benefit from the coordinate whenever you need it. And they're more like emergency coordinates. Or again, Tabson. We haven't seen Tabson a lot, but just throwing Tabson right there in the middle, and if you shoot it, then bad stuff happens. So,
well, we will see. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up with the upgrades.
Yep, that's all the ship chassis. All right, so upgrade-wise, we got some crew that went down. We got General Hux, who went from 6 to 3, a 50% discount from his previous cost. He's actually still more expensive in the past, if you can believe it. I think that might just be if you look at tactical officer that also went down to 3. Now you kind of still have like on a psi shuttle, you basically have the same cost investment into Hux being 6 points to be able to use it. But at least now he is that cost on a psi shuttle, instead of he can only go on an Upsilon shuttle because it required a white coordinate. So I've been playing around to see what I can build with it, but not much has come up yet, but it's there. Kylo Crew went down 2 points from 11 to 9. That one, we'll see. It's obviously a cheaper force point. There's not really many crew carriers that either need it or want it, because the Xi shuttles are very support oriented. They're not really there to add their gun that much, but in an Upsilon, you kind of don't want to add a ton more points into, because you know you're either going to lose it or at least lose half of it. So it's a similar situation that we talked about with the Republic crew, but we'll see. You know, that action and the fact that mag pulse missiles, a common missile you see on FO ships a lot, because one, Kylo's ability, both on the silencer's chassis and this crew, and because mag pulse is such an effective thing to use on something like a Von Reg or a Hollow, when you have that high initiative strike to decrease the effective shots coming back at those ships. Petty Officer Thanison went down 1 point. A lot of people might be like, what's that? I think you want to bring it up because, Dion, I think you're zoomed in just a little bit for me to read it completely.
No worries. So I got you. So during the activation or engagement phase, after an enemy ship in your front arc at range 0 to 1 gains a red or orange token, if you are not stressed, you may gain 1 stress. If you do, that ship gains 1 additional token of that type that is gained.
So, I mean, it was always something that had an effect. Rarely would you ever spend the points to add that value. But now we go to 200. Maybe there's a world where Thanison goes on a Upsilon shuttle or a Xi shuttle. We'll see. Only 3 points. And then next we have a decrease of Commander Malarus crew. Probably one of the most overcosted upgrades we originally saw release in the First Order faction itself. It's double-sided. It equips certain side face up while a friendly non-limited ship at range 0-1 performs primary attack. That ship may reroll 1 blank result. If it does and the attack does not hit, you must flip the card. And then the other side is perfected while you perform an attack if the defender's in your bullseye. You must convert all your eyeball results to hit results and gain a stress. Then if you have 2 or more stress, suffer 1 damage. Once it's on the perfected side, you're telling a shuttle to get a bullseye shot, because currently those are the only crew carriers in the First Order faction.
That ain't happening.
I still don't think this is... I don't know if Malarus is worth 3, even. Maybe it's future proofing. Maybe we finally get because the Gauntlet's not in the sequel factions. Maybe we get the Night Buzzard, the thing that carries all the Knights of Ren. That'd be really cool.
We did an episode, a video on the Night Buzzard. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, I think where we tried to predict what it would be as a ship. So maybe future proofing. We'll see. Gleb, as we mentioned in prior points, went up 4. And then we have, I'll get to the changes first and the new ones. Fanatical went down to 1 point. More of a filler now. Should be pretty good. There's a lot of things with a few shields and mostly hull. And then deuterium power cells went down 1 point. I know Marcel's had some experience with deuterium power cells. I don't know if that 1 point threshold helps out much further. Granted, one of the ships that took it often, I think, Marcel, that you had was Major Von Reg, who also went down a point. So you netted 2 points in that transaction.
Yeah, I've moved away from it. I've just found that you get more from things like afterburners or pattern analyzer or something like that. You just get more value out of it than this particular regen. But I mean, regen is still regen. It's good, especially if you're flying something AC that wants to conserve points.
Yep. All right, so for the new stuff, we have DT-798 is a 5-point gunner, and that upgrade says at the start of the engagement, you may choose a friendly ship in your firing arc. If you do, that ship gains 1 strain. While you perform an attack, you may reroll 1 die for each ship in the attack arc with 1 or more lock red or orange tokens. So any of those jams that have been applied that hung around from whispers, any strains from gas clouds, any strains from this actual gunner ability, provides rerolls. Is it worth 5 points? What do you guys think? I don't know. It really only goes on the bomber right now.
Yeah, there's so many things I want to put on the bombers. This doesn't end up.
This
being
is not a
one of them.
priority whatsoever.
Maybe on like what's that dude? No, even he cancels the hits.
So you can put on SFs, I guess.
Oh, that's right. No.
Well, okay.
Wait,
interestingly,
in your
firing arc, it could be
Yeah.
front or back with the SFs.
Maybe a backdraft or something. Phasma just went down in price.
Yeah, maybe back. I was thinking backdraft potentially. But it's like you spend 4 more points and you have SF Gunner.
Maybe, yeah. That's backdraft's rear arc.
Well,
Is that the
backdraft
only-
doesn't really want.
He doesn't need it for sure. You're right.
Right.
So what you could do is backdraft could have someone in his front arc. Oh no, this is start of engagement. Not even. I in my mind it's system phase. You could like do it so in his front arc, zoom past him. Start of engagement actually make sure that strain sticks around.
It's gonna be consequential.
It would be funny to strain somebody like Tapson or something, though. Be like, here you go.
Yeah, and with two arcs, you can. It gives you a lot of flexibility of saying like, okay, I'm going to strain you on the front, but all the ships are in the back, so I'm going to shoot the one in the back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, backdraft's actually a solid candidate for it because it gives him a reroll potentially on whoever he shoots, and he's got someone in his firing arc, so it can be shot.
And he doesn't need it.
As long as no one else has already shot that ship and removed the strain.
Well, the strain goes on a friendly, by the way. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
but also
the strain has to is in order to actually activate the ability, right? Because that strained person needs to be in the attack arc, assuming that you don't have any other red tokens or orange tokens out there.
Yeah, that makes sense. But it also works on just like if they're stressing themselves, if it's an interceptor or a silencer or something that just stresses itself.
But the problem with this, though, with a strain, like if you're counting on that strain to be there, if your opponent has a higher initiative ship and attacks it and the strain goes away, this card does nothing.
Yeah.
I read it, but I didn't read it. My brain just forgot the friendly part.
Oh yeah, no. If you can strain enemies at the start of engagement, oh man,
that'd be like 5
every
points.
day.
Like I think I'm in, but like
how much is
5
Commander
points and you
Pyre?
have to strain Pyre?
Yeah, because that Pyre does something the same. Pyre is the same, but defensively, right? Like if you get shot by somebody,
it's only on stress, which is much more normal because of linked actions in the game, and it's,
but this one is also on stress as well. It says, while you perform an attack, you may reroll up to 1 die for each ship in the attack arc with 1 or more non-lock red or orange tokens. So if you're shooting a stressed ship, you get the reroll. So if the opponent is stressed, you still get the reroll.
So is 5 points worth a conditional reroll where an opponent has to have an orange or red token on it? Because realistically, you probably don't want to use the first paragraph.
I mean, maybe quick draw at range 1.
No, quick draw on special forces gunner.
I know
quick draw's
that,
not taking
but
SF gunner then, yeah.
maybe. I think it's backdraft. I don't know where to put it on a bomber because I want to cluster missile bomber maybe. Most of the time, you're getting. We just talked about how the bombers can get so many free locks. Like, why do you need free rerolls as well?
Yeah, you're spending locks offensively anyway. So yeah, I think it's on backdraft, and it's probably still not worth the 5 points because the point of backdraft was to be cheap, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking him to not put upgrades on him, so you can utilize just the front back arc combo. All right. The other gunner that got added, the First Order Ordnance Tech. It's First Order only, so it is only restricted to this faction. All it does is add reload link to lock. It is 3 points though. Is 3 points feels one more too many on first glance?
I think with all the sorry, go ahead.
It adds actions to the action bar, but sure, it gives SFs the ability to reload and still take a lock, so you can set up for the future, but you're counting on that ship to still be something you could shoot at. And most of the time, by the time the SF uses all of its charges, it's probably dead,
Or the end of the game.
or end of the game. Yeah, end of the game, right?
Yeah.
What about a proton rocket on one of those SFs?
You don't have boost though. Like, for me, value of proton rockets pretty low without boost.
You got Proud Tradition. You can get focuses.
All right. And then finally, our last new upgrade, we actually mentioned this one quite a bit in some of our other prior discussions. Sensor Scrambler. 1 point. That's it. On silencers or on the Whispers. Setup, gain 1 cloak token. While you are cloaked, other ships cannot acquire locks on you. During the end phase, if you are cloaked, and there is an enemy ship at range 0 to 3, you must decloak. If you do and the decloak fails, lose 1 cloak token. Kind of wish that last sentence was put in the cloaking device card. But that's a side tangent. If you got the points left, this seems like an easy, just like, here's my 1 point filler. If I'm taking a Whisper or Silencer, it's like super easy and has very viable uses. I guess I'm kind of surprised it's 1 point, but
but it doesn't last forever, though.
Right? It's just the beginning of the game. Yeah.
What I like about it beginning of the game wise is and this is even against some of my own strategies, if things like Dark One probe droids or E-wings or things that get those long range locks or take advantage of pouncing on you because they move after you and try to lock you, they just can't. And I think that's pretty powerful, actually.
Yeah, I like this a lot on the lowest initiative ships because it's a really good way to get them, especially if you're not really good at that opening engagement, and lower initiative ships don't want to engage at range 3 because they're going to get alpha striked. This is a really good way to just get in there, and as soon as the range ruler decides, like, hey, okay, now you're in shooting range, then you just decloak wherever you want, and you can have the engagement that you want against the higher initiative. So I think this is really good on low initiative ships, especially the silencers that want to get up close. Not the silencers, I'm sorry, especially the Whispers that want to get up close and start taking advantage of their jamming. So yeah, I think it's a really good card for low initiative Whispers, just to make sure they don't get destroyed on the way in. And
yeah, or even like I mentioned, the Kylos or any of the high initiatives that have to be first player, whether they don't want to get pounced on by lock-based mechanics or have the ability, because of how the ship is, whether it is Silencer with double reposition or Whisper with that rear arc that still has boost, the ability to decloak, close the gap extremely fast and apply their effects, or just move in ways that opponents can't catch up to depending on the opposing ships. It puts them in places that's really hard to predict.
Yep. Great anti-torpedo.
Awesome. Well, that has been the ton of changes that have come to the First Order. We got new ships, we got new cards. I think the FO Bomber and the TIE Whisper will have, including all the cards that come in it, will have a massive impact on what we see from the First Order. I think it will really change some of what we're seeing, and I'm excited to see what people do. What people do.
Oh, you know what, Dion? What we didn't do that we did for the Republic is we each didn't pick a shipper upgrade card that we would see more of in Resistance and First Order. Will, you want to start us off with Resistance then, I guess?
Just a quick hot take on which one of these are going to make it furthest in hot.
Well, you could throw that one too. What do you think is going to do better? The new, specifically the new, or do we just want to go faction completely with Resistance and First Order?
Let's go with the new stuff. The new stuff.
All right, so what new stuff performs better?
I think Sensor Scrambler is the top rated FO card out of them all.
Okay. It's hard to not pick that one though too.
That's why I went first. I was like mine.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, it's got to be Kylo on the Whisper that makes it the furthest. I mean, I think that's kind of cheating. I think that one. I don't think anyone would disagree with that one. So I'm gonna go.
You know what? I don't know. I think people might hold on to Silencer Kylo and use Breach more to get that Alpha Strike in there to get a Kylo Silencer endgame that everyone likes. I'm gonna go with Breach.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going with Kylo Whisper.
Yeah, I think I had to double down on that Breach. I think that might be the what'd you call it? Fomber?
Bomber.
The Fomber might actually just be better as a munitions platform than a bombing platform, which makes Breach so much better.
Could still do both.
You got the slots. Fill them up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what about Resistance then?
For the Resistance?
Yeah, we didn't pick cards for that one.
Yeah, it's Zari. Yeah,
well, it could still be
Zari's
anything.
gonna be the
A
best.
lot of stuff changed, right? It could still be anything. It's not just the new
All right.
stuff.
What can I say? Wartime.
Wartime
I'll say the
Loadout.
Astromech.
The Watchful Astromech.
Yeah.
I
Because
got
the Watchful Astromech can go on other ships. It's not faction specific, right?
Sure.
Yeah, technically
So,
true.
Watchful Astromech. Yeah.
man.
I'm looking through everything else as well.
You know what? Commander Poe meta. Let's go.
Doubling down.
Double down.
Ow.
I'm gonna go. I think a lot of people are gonna try Ferrosphere. It's not gonna be spammed, but I think it's gonna be placed in a targeted manner.
All right, so hopefully you enjoyed the breakdown. We've talked a lot of points, a lot of cards over the last week. There's been a ton of changes. Now it's time to play. All right, so Wednesday we'll be streaming games. Saturday we have, of course, the Hoth Galactic Championship qualifier. If you want to get registered, there are tickets left. I believe last time I looked, there were 11 target lock sets left. So if you wanted the Hoth target locks, they're going like hotcakes. So jump on that one, and yeah, we will see you this week. Man, I'm just excited to get some toys on the table. Like, I wasn't able to play last Wednesday, and I haven't been able to play since the stuff has come out, and I'm itching. So let's play some X-Wing, and we'll see you guys Wednesday and this weekend. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay smart, stay safe. Gold Squadron out.